Okay, welcome to the 5th session of UnConference from Cryptoeconomics.hub. And today we'd like to discuss a specific token design, which is called discount token. And it's already being used in a couple of projects, at least, maybe more. It's a design that is meant to improve the network effect of any project that is using it. And in order to do that, what we're going to do today is to go through an article that is that we shared with you beforehand that describes the effect, the design, sorry. And then we're going to have an open discussion about that with a quick example about the project. But first, we have a quick announcement, a quick word from Frédéric, who is going to present something today to you. So Frédéric, you've got the floor.
Thank you very much, Laurent. Hi, everybody. So just very quickly, I'm going to try to share my screen with you. I started a quite basic visualization of what we're trying to do together at CE Hub. So it's, I call it a mind map, but we can call it however we want, of course. It's just, currently, basically, it's the different categories that we have on the Discord. So we can see that we have the different projects that we categorized. We have the different elements as well. So what I thought that we might do, it might help us create some debate among ourselves and when we try to define the terms and the relations between the elements, is just as an example here, let's take this one. Here we have, for example, several types of organizations, so states, World Bank, European Bank, that threaten, so we can create relations towards another element, which here is Bitcoin, for example. So all of those threaten Bitcoin or are threatened by Bitcoin. So the relation or correlation is a debate in itself, I think. And another point to be discussed, for example, in the types of relations we create is here you can see there are different length, not length, but width of the relations of the cooperation. So we know that European banks and IMF, European Bank and IMF cooperate widely, states IMF in a smaller scale, states and private conglomerates in an even smaller scale. So even these, whether or not these are correct, is another topic of discussion, I think. So this was just very basic for now. I think that we might engage into. So I invite you all to join in and to add something. The interesting part is that all of us, all of you, mostly because I'm not very experienced yet in all of these topics, but most of us are, let's say, know better about a certain part of this topic. It's difficult to know about everything. So for each of our specialization topic, if I can say that, if I can call it that, we can add, as we discussed before as well, because the end goal is also to create a repository on GitHub. So, for example, if we have someone who is knowledgeable about game theory, we can talk about, the person can edit that, create the links, the types of links, and also by editing it, can add some, well, you can put an image to make it even more beautiful, but you can also add some reference, literature reference or something like that. Or if you want to add a description, it can be useful for that. So for our work of grouping the information, I think it might give us interesting insights, maybe. And also, as an maybe later stage, we can create what they call stories, which is essentially a movement from, for example, this part to this part to this part to this part, and that can engage newcomers to what is cryptoeconomics in a more, let's say, guided way. So that was basically what I wanted to share with you. I'm welcoming all of the criticism, of course, and all of the changes are welcome here because, as I said, currently it's mostly what is on the Discord. I try to make very basic relations. Of course, I am not certain if token sales can be used cryptoeconomics can be used for token sales, or if token sales can be used for cryptoeconomics. As you see, the arrow is pointing this way. Maybe it should be pointing the other way. Maybe there should not be a point. So yeah, that was it. So thank you for this, and thank you, Laurent, for giving me the floor.
Yeah, thanks to you. That's really interesting. I would have one question maybe to you, which is if you know already some projects maybe related to what we do or similar, for which it has been especially useful to use that kind of knowledge representation, if you will.
Not that I'm aware of. I'm certain that someone has done it somewhere. But we use mind mapping for theoretical projects. So, for example, I remember when I worked at some point at the University of I don't remember the name, but it was a university in the middle of France, Clermont-Ferrand, yeah. And they were using mind mapping to engage the different actors and to create debate among the workers, let's say the group of people that were there, to see who is acting, who is not acting. And it was mostly used for economics and how do you call it? Green economics, actually, and circular economics. So I know that it is a mechanism, visualization that is used for, let's say, the preparatory work, but has it been used in crypto space? I really don't know.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's going to be, I think, a nice experiment and a good way to visualize what we have actually learned so far. So thank you. Yeah. And with that being said, let's get to the subject of today, which is a specific mechanism for tokens. In some projects, as I mentioned, at least 2 of them are using it, and it's called a discount token. So if you had a chance to look at the article, what I'm going to do now is to quickly summarize what it is, how it's being implemented and used within one specific project that I'm going to go really quickly over. And then we're going to get into the open discussion. Okay. So the really basic idea is, as the name implies, to provide the user with a discount of purchases or economic activities that the user is going to do within a project, right? But the difference here is that the discount can have like different length of time, if you will. So it's not, as we used to, something like you will spend just once and then the discount will be deleted, or it's going to be it's not going to be useful anymore. So here it's a little bit different. And the reasoning behind this new design for tokens is because, as the author is implying, the incentives are not most of the time not correctly aligned within the network, within the community, and therefore you don't actually see the kind of results that you would like. You have like different behaviors that come over what the intentions were within the project, right? So he's talking about, for instance, Ethereum Classic, which is an interesting, if you will, store of value, but in terms of community, so the actual users using the token for something, or even the ecosystem, what you can actually do with the token are pretty much zero. There is not much to say about those 2 characteristics. But store of value is something that is apparently working so far, a little bit at least. And so you most of the time find that projects have difficulties aligning correctly the incentives so that the 3 aspects that the author is describing are aligned and powerful within the project. And those 3 characteristics or properties of crypto assets that we should seek, according to the article, is an instrument that is digital, secure, trustless, and globally accessible. which is pretty much the definition of a token. The second one is a developing ecosystem to use and accept it. So you actually need liquidity for your token, but also generating demand from it. And the third property for crypto asset would be a utility function that correlates value with fundamentals. And this is an important one because it's really a sign that the fundamentals of your project are directly related to the value that is being created, right? If there's only speculation, for instance, the fundamentals are not really different from any other projects. You might be doing better or worse, but the fundamentals that represent the idea of the project are not reflected into the value of the token itself. And so he says that most of the time the first property is achieved, but the second one is less probable to be achieved, and the third one is pretty much not in existence, but there are very few projects that achieve it, right? So there are some attempt, right, to do something about those three properties. According to the author, there are interesting projects like Steemit Maker, Augur, 0x that goes beyond that first property that we've seen. And so now he then get into the actual discount token design itself, mentioning that I think he's working for SweetBridge. So SweetBridge is a project that we will discuss later that is using the design. And so the design itself is, as I said before, just a discount that you get when you have that token and you decide to use it within the ecosystem, right? So it is nevertheless different from a royalty fee type of design, because as long as you have the token, you get to use the discount, but if you don't, but you don't get anything if you don't do anything, right? So there is a clear incentive in using the token. So the typical holders of tokens will not be as rewarded by that behavior as the actual users of the token. All right, so let's give an example, right, of what would that mean. So he's proposing to think about the idea of Amazon issuing Amazon Prime tokens for the community of clients with benefits, right? And so he says that if you own 10% of the Amazon Prime tokens because you bought them in their ICO or whatever, so you've got 10% of the supply of the tokens, and the total subscription fees are $1,000. You can then offset $100 of personal spend based on your ownership, right? So it's directly proportional to the value in the supply of the token that you actually own because you bought those tokens before. So assuming the cost of Amazon Prime is $100 per year, you don't owe a balance. So it means that because you have 10% of the supply of the tokens, you can actually leverage that value in the use of the service itself. But now, if next year Amazon Prime subscriptions grow to $10,000, you can now, with what you already have, you can now offset up to $1,000 of personal spend. So the value behind the tokens that you have will give you more discount because of the increase of value. But that is true if you decide to use it. Otherwise, it's just going to be a holding type of behavior. So again, you don't owe a balance because you can pay for a subscription with what you already have. But now with the increase of the total subscription this year, you could gift or sell 9 memberships to other users because yours is already being covered. So this is the example that is suggesting, which is different from other discounts that you already find, right? Coupons or student cards or whatever. But those types of discounts are short in time, or you can use them only once, or it's perpetual. But it's different from this design because of, as we're going to see, the network effect that is generating. Okay, so then he talks about the incentive alignment. And so this is important. Apart from having the 3 properties covered that we discussed before, you actually need to align the incentive for each one of these properties. And it has been seen before, for instance, in the case of a SIA, which is another project, that they had to change the way the tokens was distributed because of regulation issue. And therefore, the investors got their hands on a private financial instruments instead of a public sale. And therefore, what the fundamental that they were suggesting or offering before changed, and all the power went to the investors instead of the community. So you actually need to align those incentives to increase the network effect of the token. Okay, so then is comparing two different type of discount mechanism. Yeah, mathematically, if you will. I'm not going to get into this, but 3 points or closing thoughts that he finished the article with are interesting, I think. So the discount aggregate and user level is fundamentally linked to the adoption and growth of the network. So the discount growth proportionately, which is quite interesting because so as the bigger your network is, the more discount the users are going to be able to access. The second one is that the overall returns to the active token holders, so the users, outweigh the returns to passive token holders. So there is more value in the token itself if you use it than if you just hold the token as an investor. And that is because those two things are separated in the design of this token. And the third one would be that the discount token allows the holder to access the discount. The denomination of the fees may be in another currency form, such as utility token or stablecoin. So you can dissociate the fee that the projects would be charging you with, apart from the token that represents the discount itself. Okay, so in conclusion, that design is being used now in Binance, which is an exchange, with a Binance token that allow their users to have in between 0 to 50% discount on their transactions if they have BNB tokens. And then SweetBridge. And the quick example of SweetBridge that is mentioned in the conclusion is that if you would use SweetBridge, you could basically make a loan to yourself. So say you want to buy a car, you could directly put that car into the blockchain to basically pledge, so you pledge the asset to the blockchain, saying that if you don't repay your loan, you will lose your car, and the ownership of the car, because it's on the blockchain, can be transferred to another user or somebody that will cover your debt for you, right? So you can issue a loan to yourself by pledging the same assets that you buy to the blockchain. And if you have discount tokens, so tokens from SweetBridge, you can do that operation for free, right? Because you are part of the community and you are actually using your token to get that service for free. That's the idea. Okay, there are a short list of other papers that are interesting as well to read. So that was the quick overview of the design. Any questions so far?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you, John? Hello.
Good, thank you. Yes, yeah. Go ahead, Rupesh.
Lauren. Yeah. So first, one of the question is, what if there is a difference between the revenue shares percentage versus the discount share percentage? So let's say you pledge around 10% of tokens, but the revenue, the discount you get is different in comparison. Let's say if the discount seems to be reducing every time period, what would be the impact of it? And what would be the impact of if the discount starts increasing in comparison to the holding you are having?
Well, so I think one thing to take into account here is that when you decide to use your discount tokens, you don't lose them. So you combine basically those two benefits. The benefits of holding the token, if it increases in value in the future, you will still have them. But while you have them, you can use them in some services, as I quickly mentioned. Is that it, or do you see another? Yeah, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that, let's say there's a fundamental difference between in the discount model is this, that investors are different and users are different in comparison to this. Yeah. So if investors hold around, if you are saying that, let's say I'm not aware about SweetBridge and how what does it. So the function is, pardon me, just but I'm understanding what the discount model is. So if let's say you allow, around in its essence of discount model, you said that the discount tokens are not invalid. So that means that any investors can also have it in and use in future.
I'm not sure I get your question. So the access to the tokens is free. So you can, as far as this project is concerned, SweetBridge, they had a KYC type of entry to investing in their project, but in the long run, it's going to be open to the public.
Okay. So my question is not. My question is very very simple. So on a comparison of the model itself, it's separating two people, so two types of investor. One is investor, and another is it wants to go to the user one. If you are an investor, you hold value in shares, but in its essence also you are saying that you issue discount tokens that are that do not have any validity term period.
Well,
that means that you can use to, let's say, in an example of Amazon Prime, let's say I hold an Amazon Prime token, so I get 10%. Let's say I have same example, we can take it. I hold 10% of token of Amazon Prime. Value grows. The discount next time I grows, let's say around $900, which we are using. I'm focusing on the $900 value. Will that remain open on for in how long period of time, and is it an infinite model they are making it on, or is it there isn't some limitations to use it?
Right. So yeah, I think that's a good point. Maybe in the long run, in a sense that at the beginning, it's not gonna. I mean, it has a fixed value, if you will, the discount token itself that is proposed by the team, of course, but it's going to be affordable, if you will, as an investment. In the long run, who knows? Who knows where the price of the discount token will be, right? So the Amazon Prime, if you will, token in the future can be something extremely expensive to buy, but it clearly depends on the price of the different services that you can use your token with, right? So this price could change in order to make it affordable again for all the users. But you have to differentiate what you can do with the discount tokens themselves, right? So you've got to have those tokens in order to benefit from the discounts. But then when you actually use the service and you have a commission to pay or a fee to pay, you don't have to use that discount token. As they mentioned in the article, you can use a utility token or even a stable coin. In the case of SweetBridge, for instance, they have their own stablecoin design that is going to be a different token from the discount token itself. But what the discount token is meant for is to make people want to join that community. And to do that, they have to buy a token, because once they have those tokens, they can access for free a list of services that SweetBridge is providing. So, yeah, I think the interests for investors will probably change as in regard with the current situation or the patterns of investment of today. The value is going to be elsewhere. Yeah.
So, Laurent, what I am trying to understand is that the discount model has the inflation inbuilt into it. The reason being that, let's say the total token supply of Amazon Prime sale is capped, and then the value of the token supply change per day increases, but the value of discount token supply is on par. And I mentioned there's a difference between the changes in the discount token, and there's a difference between changes in the core token. So what happens in the value? Let's say tomorrow, total token supply is capped, and the price of Amazon Prime, shoots up ends up. But the discount token model, discount token prices are in comparison to, because of the reason, that another peer-to-peer economy will be developing on that part.
Right.
Yeah. So what happens in the peer-to-peer economy is, if someone offers on the less price on and whatever, how it will be affecting. I'm trying to figure it out. In the long term, it's completely sure that there will be a secondary peer-to-peer market will be developing for discount tokens. In an essence, because of the reason that's inflation inbuilt into it.
Well,
and how it will be shifting the core value of the token versus the discount value of the token. If someone buys, and let's say if we are, as an user, I have an opportunity for the $900 value gain, but I know that what I would be going on. Let's say tomorrow in the secondary market, the value increases, but I need some more inputs onto the part. Let's say I can deal into any other form of currency like Ethereum or any other an exchange medium of discount tokens.
What do you think would be the best case scenario here? Because I mean, right now those tokens, at least the only two projects that are using them are Binance and SweetBridge, but those are early days. So inflation, for instance, it would be happening, right, if the supply of tokens is changed through time.
Yeah. So this would be a model to figure out that.
If I understood, sorry, your question is, if you think this is going to be attractive enough for investors, is this your concern?
My concern is, how the economy or core token model would be shaping it up if discount token model overtakes it.
Well, I mean, to me, it clearly is an advantage, a superior design, if you will, if what you want to do is to build an ecosystem of different participants, and not only users, but also more companies or service providers joining your ecosystem, because all of them can share that same characteristics of the discount token, not only you.
That's guidelines have to be defined, because of the reason that prices could vary in according to the secondary market and whatever, it's a peer-to-peer market, and people can offer at any point of time at whatever the discount is. There's an scope of value from 0 to 900.
Yeah,
if I need if I have an emergency, I can sell it for 100 also, I can sell it for 900 also, I can sell it for 800 also. That would it be affecting the core token value? I'm thinking that there's some misalignment here in the core token value versus the discount token value, and how it would be affecting it. Nikhil, any thoughts? If you have also, please share.
Well, regarding the secondary market, it's not something that you can eliminate. It's not something that you don't control. Again, I think it's important to keep in mind the psychology of the user. If the reason you buy that discount token is to make a quick profit, it is probably not the best token to choose from. Now, if you think about the community and the ecosystem that the project is trying to go for, when you buy in, it is probably more because you are interested in participating, in joining that new economy, rather than making a quick buck on your investment. And so I think the same reasoning will go if you decide to sell one day your tokens, which is something that can absolutely happen. But I think the reasoning behind will be that you still want to have enough so that you can still taking advantage of the benefits of the design of the discount token.
Yeah. The rules of the game need to be defined. That is the main core issue here.
Well, I mean, this is just an overview of the design, right? If you are interested into the mechanics of, for instance, the Sweet coin, which is the equivalent discount token of SweetBridge, you can go to the white paper and look it for yourself. Yeah, sure. But here in 1 hour, we don't have the time to get into the mechanics of the token.
Yeah, sure. Another question that is partially unanswered is, the difference between the token token holding share versus the discount, the discount token percentage. Let's say if you have a revenue shares of around 10% of token holding, but the discount allowed is maximum more than the 10%, then what would be the implications? And if the discounts drops to around 5%, then what would be the implications?
Well, so you mean if the discount that your tokens supposedly provides you change through time?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, to answer that question, you would need a clear understanding of the whole economic system that is creating. I mean, generally speaking, I don't think you can answer that question, right? Or maybe you can, but I couldn't.
So this is the main core issues anywhere you see in the financial market also. Any instability in interest rates across the world wide leads to foreign investment flow and anywhere in and out of things. But what if as an investors, your discount models, if you see that keeps on decreasing every time by time, will people shift have and gain in value as the economic system is defined only based on the discount model? That's something to figure it out. That's in mechanism where something has to be figured out.
Okay. Well, maybe we can take that question offline and start try to look at it. So are you skeptical of the design with regard to other designs that you have looked at recently, or what are your thoughts on it?
No, I'm not skeptical of it. It's just first layer of the design system has been completed, but if you see the on whole version of the design system is not in only with the discount token model. Something has to be aligned with the mission. Something has to be aligned with the mechanism has to done, because there is a difference between partial difference between discount tokens they are creating, and there's a this creates an flood in the market. Somewhere it's selling, somewhere at some point of time it's like eBay or something kind of, you get some point parts of selling it in cheaper, and some part core token value is something else, and then you have two different economic systems working here then.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the beauty of this design is that it doesn't matter. The people that are buying the token, the discount token as an investment, will be able to do something with it, whether the project is working and investment is profitable or not. That's one side of it. But the other side is you cannot dissociate the other one from the first one. And the second one is that if you have the token and you want to use it, you also can do that and not care too much about the investment part of it. So say if you are, you're not an investor, but you're just a user that is going to use pretty often services from that new economy, or then you decide to acquire a certain amount of discount token to keep benefiting from free services, for instance. Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, and the third point I'm saying, let's say, what is if you have seen it in SweetBridge and how they are using, let's say Amazon Prime sales is one example where you get defunded in discount tokens. Is it that the specific token that they would be generating on the chain would be only for the Amazon Prime, or would be they would be giving on the discount on the core token? Let's say if some another like Microsoft comes up for cloud services, can I use Amazon Prime sales token for the Microsoft exchange also?
Well, this is just, I think, an example that was picked up because Amazon Prime is itself a sort of discount model type of token, if you will, already. If you subscribe to Amazon Prime, then you have a short list of free services or services for cheaper than the other users get. But it really depends on the approach or the scale of the project itself. So for instance, SweetBridge, which is about getting into the supply chain business, which is pretty much 2/3 of the global GDP of this planet. So it's going to be more than one business, if you will. So it's an infrastructure that they are building to provide the global population with a discount model. And the reason they're doing this is because of the unfair access to capital in different locations of this planet. And so if you are active in the supply chain economy, so whether that is on the production side or on the retail side of it, doesn't matter. You will be somehow connected to the supply chain. And if you need access to capital, then you can do this by using or by accessing the SweetBridge ecosystem. You can do it without the discount token. So you can enter it and, for instance, as I said before, take a loan on yourself by pledging an asset to the blockchain. But if you have discount tokens with you, then you get this free, right? So in this case, you are just a normal worker accessing services from a platform pretty often. Therefore, you have it's like a small investment as in any business that you will make in order to get cheaper services, basically. But by doing so, they increase the network effect, if you will, because you're going to have investors that will also be interested in the same token, but for different reasons. But the two things are going to reinforce themselves mutually, I think. Or at least that's the idea they are arguing for. So I think the incentives are pretty aligned, to be honest.
Seems quite interesting, but so if something misaligns, then we have to figure it out how does it is, because of the reason then some services would not be aligned as much, because of the reason that since it is directly giving access to the core token value. Let's say for an Amazon Prime, whatever the example they have given it, if you get $100 Amazon sales, per what $100 Amazon sales subscription as in from that part, then that you are getting original access to the core value of the product.
What do you mean by core value of the product?
Core value of the product, that means that aligns with the core token value. Core token, Amazon has Amazon's value only grows with the number of the users are growing. That means that number of users are growing from that part also, discount model part also, and then it is affecting the core value also.
Yes, but I think you have because I mean, the Amazon Prime token in this example does not reflect, for instance, the sales of Amazon itself. So it doesn't have anything to do with the economic activity that is happening within Amazon. The same goes for SweetBridge. Their discount token does not reflect the economic activity that is generating with something like SweetBridge. To do that, or to to appreciate the economic activity, you'll have to look for the other token in the case of SweetBridge, or in whatever token Amazon would be using, to see when the discount token is used, how much economic activity is being generated. So the core value of the token is really to foster that network effect, but does not. I mean, it doesn't have a direct relationship with the amount of economic activity. It certainly is related to, but it is not, a proxy for it.
A couple of comments here. I think there is a very shallow line between Ponzi scheme, multi-level marketing, and incentivization in some cases. Because especially when there is no activity, I don't know what are your thoughts on this, because we see also a lot of scams. And I think it's going to be, first of all, very difficult for us to understand the difference. And once we understand it, it's also going to be very difficult for the regulators to understand. I mean, what I mean by regulators, I think it will be more consumer laws.
Yes, so, but you mean with regard to the discount token model itself or in general?
In general, yeah, but I think the discount model is particularly appropriate to fall into the category of kind of foggy practices.
Why is that?
Because if you have a token that works, I mean, if you use this token and there is no activity behind, and the only incentive for the users is actually to spread it and to have it changing hand by hand, can be associated with marketing, what they call also multi-level marketing, right?
But that's not the purpose of a discount token. I mean, you don't need velocity within the economy you're creating for a discount model to work. It's always better, of course, but it's not the purpose of a discount token. I mean, again, the economic activity of the project is separated from the benefits that you get from a discount token. A discount token is just a right that you are given as a member of a community to access some services. What you do, or what economic activity you are generating, or what you do with your tokens are completely different things.
Okay. And regarding this parameter on velocity, do you have an idea on how it works with the monetary equation?
Well, it is part of the reinforcement effect of the network effect, I don't know if you can call it that way, but if, as in the example that we were mentioning before, was suggesting, when the subscriptions grow the year after the launch, then if you had 10% of the token supply in the beginning, and you now have 10 times more, or you can claim 10 times more, then you will have to think about what you're going to do with the extra free service or the surplus, if you will, that you now have. You can gift them, or you can sell what you don't actually need, assuming that the subscription for you is still the same price, of course. But so you will have to ask yourself what you want to do. Do you want to keep holding what is your surplus, what you don't actually need, so some tokens, or are you going to sell them or give them to other users? And this, I think, is where you were going, and because it's going to reinforce the adoption of the project by increasing the velocity, precisely.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think, yeah, so this is, let's get into the conclusion and final thoughts. So, I mean, obviously, this is a new design. We will have to see first what is happening in the projects that are using it to see if it's really delivering on the promises. But it is an interesting construction to me for a token, as I said, because you can dissociate the effect that you are trying to implement in your project from the actual payment of services or products within that project, right? And hopefully this is going to allow us to align incentives in those three properties for crypto assets that the author was mentioning, which were an instrument for payment, a developing ecosystem to use and accept the token, and then a correlation between the utility correlation within the utility function of value and fundamentals. So right now there are two projects that are using it. Binance, which has already something like $2 billion of value, I think, in the token itself. So, and then we have SweetBridge, which is a recently new project that is going to make use of the service, but in a more, say, broad way, if you will. And we'll see what happens, of course. Okay, so if there is no more questions, this will conclude our session for today. Thank you very much to everyone for joining today, and hope to talk to you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you
very
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Laurent.